Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program this afternoon, this morning, whenever you see us. Thank you for being here with us. Folks, we just got through attending a funeral. I have some things I need to do this evening, so we're doing this broadcast early. It's going to be short, sweet, and to the point. Folks, there have been a few things that have happened since we were last on the air. I want to first talk about the Merapi volcanic eruption that happened Sunday morning. There's been a lot of questions going up. Not just questions, but there's been activity that's going up. Okay? Merapi volcano is over on the island of Sumatra, west central Sumatra. Merapi has stayed the third highest of 4 alert levels since 2011. It's indicating above normal volcanic activity. Because of this above normal volcanic activity, climbers and villagers were asked to stay more than 3 kilometers or 1.8 miles from the peak. Okay? That is according to the statement I got from the Indonesia Center for Volcanology and Geological Disaster Mitigation. Now, as we reported yesterday, 12 people have been killed as a result of that volcanic eruption. Rescuers are searching the hazardous slopes of Mount Merapi, and they have found 11 more bodies of climbers who were caught by a surprise weekend eruption, raising the total number of confirmed dead to 22. One person is remaining missing as of right now. That could change as more information comes in. More people may have been on the mountain than they first thought about, or maybe the one person that was missing may have been found. More than 50 climbers have been rescued after the initial eruption on Sunday. 11 others were initially confirmed dead. New eruptions yesterday and on Tuesday today spewed more hot ash as high as 800 meters high, 2,620 feet high into the air. This has reduced visibility, and it has temporarily halted search and rescue operations. Now, I have had some online email conversations with the chief of Padang Search and Rescue Agency. His name is Abdul Malik. The bodies of 2 climbers were located yesterday, and 9 more were located today. Rescuers have contended with bad weather, difficult terrain, along with winds that brought the heat from the eruptions down to the surface. 16 bodies were taken to the hospital for identification as of late today. More than 200 rescuers, including police and soldiers, struggled to bring the others down the mountain, and the search for one or more missing climbers is ongoing. The Deputy Chief of Police, Eddie Mardianto, said in a news conference today that 1 climber remained missing and was presumed dead because of being very close to the eruption site. About 1,400 people live on Merapi slopes in Rubai and Goba, Kumangatiang, and the nearest villages about 5 to 6 kilometers, which is 3 to 3.7 miles from the peak. Merapi is known for sudden eruptions, as we stated yesterday. Those eruptions are difficult to predict because the source of the eruptions is shallow and near the peak. It's not just the magma that people worry about at Merapi. It is the groundwater that assists in the eruption process. And as a result, the people in Sumatra, Indonesia, near this volcano, may or may not get any warnings of minor earthquakes prior to the eruption. Those minor earthquakes may come and go, but they may or may not be caused by magma beneath the surface. Now, that movement of magma deep inside the volcano sets off tremors that register on seismic monitors. But the movement of groundwater along with the hot magma beneath the ground doesn't always register on the seismic monitors, the seismographs. And as a result, Mount Merapi can erupt at a moment's notice. Okay? I wanted to make sure you had an update about this volcano. They're struggling to bring these people down off the mountain. There may also be people from other countries that were over there. Okay? I wanted to tell you about that. One other thing that I have several things I want to talk about. Last night, yesterday evening, we had an earthquake over on the big island of Hawaii, just south of Kilauea. A 5.07 magnitude earthquake hit. There have been other tremors and minor earthquakes that have resulted from this large earthquake over on Hawaii, just south of Kilauea. It shook people up greatly. There were people in the area that had no clue what happened, but all of a sudden the ground was moving. Okay? So people were startled by this. Now, in prior broadcasts of this channel, we've shown you minor tremors and minor earthquakes that have hit in this area. Nobody knows when we're going to get a large earthquake. Yes, there were small swarms and caches of earthquakes, but no real notice that a larger earthquake was going to happen. It did happen at 5:53 p.m. yesterday. Now, I have gotten information about this quake that I just relayed to you. Okay? I've also had some questions from people asking me what happened and what's going on with the Helena slump, which is south of this earthquake. They asked, was this earthquake, did it have anything to do with the Helena slump? The answer is no. The answer is no. Okay? Now, I want to show you something. On this map here, we're showing you Mauna Loa. We're also showing you Kilauea. Just south of Kilauea is where this 5.0 earthquake hit, near Mauna Ulu. The Helena slump is south of where this earthquake hit. What is the Helena slump? Okay, that's been another question that a lot of people have asked over the past few years that we've been doing this program. The Helena slump is on the flank, the southern flank of the Kilauea volcano. the southern side of the Kilauea volcano, on the southeast side of the island of Hawaii. The Lahaina slump extends from the fault zone over by Leilani Estates, just south of Leilani Estates, and it extends over to that rift zone over there, and it also extends to the south into deep water. The Lahaina fault system is located within the southern flank of Kilauea volcano. It consists of a series of subparallel and echelon normal faults. Normal faults. Normal faults are fractures in the Earth's surface where one fault block appears to be displaced downward relative to an adjacent block, relative to an adjacent fault system. Okay? There have been stories that have circulated throughout the years that the Lahaina slump was going to fall into the ocean. That the Lahaina fault was going to fall into the ocean. And when that story got out, they were saying that when the Lahaina slump falls into the ocean, it's going to cause a huge, huge tsunami that could hit Southern California, Mexico, Central and South America. Now, while that could possibly happen, it may be a pipe dream in some people's minds. Yes, it could happen. But there are other things that are happening over on the Big Island. A lot of things happening on the Big Island. There have been stories circulating over on the Big Island since 1992 that the Big Island was sinking under the weight of Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea, Kilauea, and Hualalai to the west. The Hawaii Volcanic Observatory put out a story January 24th, 1992. A magnitude 3.8 earthquake occurred 15 miles beneath Mauna Kea volcano at 1:48 a.m. on that day. Similar, actually on January 21st, 3 days earlier, 1992. Similar deep earthquakes occur persistently beneath the Big Island, but they are not restricted to any particular location. Some of these earthquakes are not caused by movement of magma, either directly or indirectly. Instead, those earthquakes are caused by what they call a bending in the ocean lithosphere. A bending in the ocean's lithosphere. Now, I don't have a picture to show you right now, but I will find one, and in our next broadcast, I will show you what we mean by the lithosphere. Okay? Down beneath the crust of the Earth, we have the lithosphere. Down beneath the lithosphere, we have the asthenosphere. The asthenosphere is where the plastic magma is flowing beneath the crust of the Earth. The lithosphere may bend. And scientists believe that the lithosphere beneath the Big Island of Hawaii is bending. The lithosphere is the nearly ridge outer layer of the Earth, the outer layer of the crust of the Earth. And in some places, that crust of the earth could be 39 miles deep. It could be 69 miles deep. But over around Hawaii, they believe it's 50 miles deep. Okay? 50 miles beneath the surface of Hawaii. As the volcanoes grow, their weight is greater than the lithosphere can support. The result is that the lithosphere flexes downward under the increasing weight of the volcanoes. As the lithosphere bends, earthquakes are produced. Most of these earthquakes occur near the top of the lithosphere, about 50 miles beneath the surface. This area, because it's so close to the asthenosphere where the plastic magma is, because it's so hot, that area of the crust is very brittle. It's more brittle than the deeper parts because it is cooler. Okay? It's further away from the asthenosphere, but the top part of the lithosphere is cooler than the bottom part, which is where the plastic magma is, where it's scalding hot. Okay? One result of this downward bending is that the islands sink or subside. We've talked about subsidence when we talked about Iceland yesterday. They believe that subsidence has led to the harbor at Grindavik getting deeper. This effect over in Hawaii can be seen by changes in sea level recorded at tide gauges around the islands. Hilo, for example, is sinking at a rate of nearly 1/10 of an inch each year. 1/10 of an inch each year. Now, while this doesn't sound like much, over 100 years, this would represent 10 inches of subsidence. Additional evidence for the geological rapid sinking of the islands is found offshore. A topic of a question that someone asked me last night. What is causing Hawaii to sink? As I said, the lithosphere bends, and when it bends, earthquakes occur. Okay? I just wanted to clarify that. I wanted to make sure everyone understands that. I hope I've answered that question for whoever asked it. Yes, I do know who asked it, but I do not want to put that out. Okay? I'll never, ever identify the person who asked the question unless they've either already self-identified themselves or they tell me it's okay to talk about it. Okay? So I will never embarrass anybody purposely. Okay? Now, over in Fullerton, California. Okay? I've got two maps here. One, I'm showing you more where Fullerton is located in relationship to the coast of California. Yesterday evening, Fullerton had a 3.5 earthquake. 3.0 to 3.5 or 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. A lot of people felt this earthquake. Hundreds of people felt this earthquake. Why? Because, one, it was in a populated area. Two, because the ground fault area, what is that area made of? That area is mostly bedrock. That's why this earthquake was felt over a large area. It was only a small quake, but a small quake was felt across a very large area here in Southern California. In the past few weeks, we've had some very minor tremors over here. Minor tremors to the tune of 1.2, 1.7, 1.8 type of tremors. When we get a lot of tremors, just like when we get a lot of earthquakes, those earthquakes tend to tell us that a large earthquake is going to happen. The same thing with minor tremors. We get a large group of tremors, and that usually signals that a larger, shallower quake is going to happen. Okay? That is what happened here in Fullerton yesterday. Okay? Now, this was a fairly shallow quake. Okay? 10.7 kilometers deep. That's decent. That's decent. It has a fairly significant depth, especially in Southern California. Okay? Now, after this happened, some other things occurred. Okay? Whenever we have earthquakes hitting, there's a large amount of gaseous pressure beneath the surface, beneath the crust of the earth, inside the crust of the earth. When we have oil refineries, when we have pumps and jacks that are pumping over at the oil and gas pumping operation northwest of Los Angeles, in the hills over there, they have burn stacks where when gas pressure builds up, and they have meters all over the area there in Los Angeles, especially around the refineries. And when the metric pressure increases at those refineries and the oil and gas producing area, they release that build up pressure of gas and burn it off. That's what happened here. Multiple people saw these burn stacks going up. It's completely normal. This is completely normal. When the pressure builds up underground, they have to do a burn off, or sometimes they're called burn ups. And yes, this pressure does cause earthquakes. I wanted to clarify this as well. A lot of people had questions about it. It showed up in our earthquake chat on Facebook Messenger, and people sent me notes and emails about it. I want to clarify what happened here. We've been talking about a large number of earthquakes all over Los Angeles. These earthquakes continue to happen. Tomorrow night's program will be talking about earthquakes in Southern California. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of what is going on. I believe it's very important because people are feeling these quakes and the agency is not reporting them. That is one of the reasons we had a 3.5, and the agency was forced to report it after they had hundreds of claims of shaking. Hundreds of reports of claims of shaking going on. So the agency had to come out and admit that a 3.5 quake indeed happened in Fullerton yesterday evening. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've said here? I want to make sure that we can answer anybody's questions. Please, folks, if you have a question, come out. There are no dumb questions. Also, I want to say, while I've got a minute here, is I want to make sure that everybody gives us a thumbs up if you enjoy what we've talked about today. Give us a thumbs up. It's just one of many analytical factors that YouTube uses to assess whether they're going to let anybody else see this program. Also, if you only stay here a couple of minutes, you're never going to ever get the understanding of what we're talking about. You need to stick around for the entire program. You need to stick around for the entire program. Yesterday's program lasted an hour. I checked the analytical factor. People were there for approximately 19 minutes. Our average is well over 19 minutes. The other program, Sunday evening, it lasted about an hour. The registered time period of people staying and watching the program was 12 minutes. If you watch a program and you leave before it's over, you're not going to understand what we've talked about. And you may go off on a high horse and say, oh, Ron doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why I spend so much time clarifying our message. Every one of our messages is valid because we're putting out information that might help save someone's life. That's one of the reasons we've continued to report on Mount Merapi in Indonesia. Whenever you're going out hiking, make sure that someone is notified where you're going, when you're going to approximately be there, and when you may be known to return. With those things, people understand what you're doing. And if you don't return, then rescuers can be sent to find you. It happens all the time. G. Meisner is saying, sorry, Ron, I got really sick from the CME 4 days. That's not much, shall I say, I totally understand that. Okay? I totally get that. CMEs cause earthquakes. CMEs also affect anything that is living. Dogs, cats, plants, humans. These plasma radiation from the sun, these CMEs cause problems. They can cause problems mentally, problems physically, and they have been known to also cause strokes, which can cause the heart to stop. They can cause all kinds of things to happen. There's an uptick on hospital visits after a CME has been launched from the sun. And it's pretty common. It's very common. Now, there's a lady named Gina that I want to talk about who lives in Hilo, Hawaii. Last Thursday, she was 3 years clean from having been on alcohol and drugs. She's 3 years clean from all those evil things that can mess her up and had messed her up. I want to praise her and congratulate her on that event. 3 years clean. Heather has told me how grateful she is for her being clean and taking the time and effort it took to freeing herself of the drugs and the alcohol abuse. We appreciate all of you who take the time to be clean. And I know that helps you feel better. That puts you in a better state of mind where you can help not just yourself, but other people around you. So I praise that. I praise that a lot. Heather's been clean for 10 years. Bless your heart, Heather. That's wonderful. Now I'm going to get out of here because I have someplace else I need to go. But I want to leave you with a word. There was a man that spoke at my Aunt Tina's funeral service, her celebration of life. He told the congregation that he believes that the people who have passed away sometimes attend these celebrations of life. One, to see who came there to celebrate their life. And two, to be a part of this service. To have people feel their spirit. The spirit of the dearly departed. I felt that today. I want to bear witness that it is possible. We can always feel the Spirit of the Holy Ghost if we allow ourselves to feel. If we're following the commandments. If we're doing the things that the Lord would have us do. We've talked about this. We honor my aunt today. We honor her family. My aunt had all kinds of health issues during the last 10 years of her life. She was a wonderful lady. She was the president of a young people's organization of developmental women, young women. She was the president of that organization for 30 years prior to her death. That's a long time to be representing that large group of developmentally young women. I praise that as well. Thank you, Aunt Tina, and thank you everyone who helps our developmental youth. When my father died, I was not aware that he had also been part of a group of young men who were developmentally disabled. And he helped them. He taught them. He loved them for years before he died. My father died at age 79. And Tina survived until she was 98 years old. Folks, each of us can do this. Each of us can help each other and love each other and help other people. Each of us can do that. I'm just throwing that out there for all of you. God bless you all. I love you all. That is why I spend time talking with you and help teaching you the things that you need to know to be able to help yourselves prepare for these events in our lives. Calvin McLean is talking about how many 7s or bigger are out in the Philippines. There have been several 7.0 and larger earthquakes off the coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Today, there are a lot more. They're not 7s, but they're 5s. Let me just briefly go over there and show you the earthquakes over in the Mindanao, Philippine area. Give me a second to set this map up. There's a lot of 5s over here. I want to point out the bigger earthquakes here. Okay? This one was a 4.8. It's an upper 4.0 to 4.9. An upper moderate quake. Out in the ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of this event, as with most of these other quakes that are happening. The reason that there was damage in Mindanao, Philippines, and that quake was so roundly felt all over the island, was it was so large, a 9.0 earthquake. So Calvin, yes, the USBS said there were 7s. I showed you during the past 2 days that those earthquakes that hit were much larger. The main earthquake came out as a 7.7, downgraded to a 7.6, further downgraded to 7.5. With all the data that I've shown you all over the past 2 days, I showed you that it was at least a 9.0 major earthquake. A 7.5, 7.6, or 7.7 is a major earthquake. But this was hundreds of times larger than the agency said it was. And I used their own data to prove it. Okay? This earthquake here was a 5.1. Up here, this earthquake today was a 5.6. This earthquake here, a 5.8. A 5.8 here on that earthquake fault, the Philippine Trench. Look at the number of earthquakes here on the Philippine Trench. This one is 22 miles deep. That was a 5.8. This is a 5.1, 27 miles deep. Further south, this is a moderate 4.5, 26 miles deep. Interesting. Very interesting. Yes, we're here getting 4s and 5s all over here. Okay? Hopefully, the magnitude levels will go down. But folks, I'm going to tell you this. I don't think the magnitudes will go away for quite some time. The number of earthquakes that are going to hit this area are going to go on for years. This was a major 9.0 magnitude earthquake that hit on Sunday morning. A 9.0 earthquake. When that happens, we have aftershocks for years. Years and years. So you're going to see this happen. And mark my words, it will happen. Folks, I ask the Lord to bless you. I love you with all my heart. I take my time to tell you about what is going on. Calvin says the one he told me about was an 8. That might have been. There may have been a lot of 8s out there, but they were never identified by the agency like they should have been. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you're all feeling better. I hope you have a great rest of the day. If anything happens today, I will be back on the air later to tell you about it. I hope you have a wonderful day and evening. God be with you. God bless you with everything that you stand in need of. We have our friends and EMA family that have personal issues in their lives. One of them is going to have open heart surgery tomorrow morning. His name is Rupert. Please keep him in your prayers. He needs it. He needs it. He's had a lot of health issues. They're going to do open heart surgery. He has an aneurysm, and they plan on putting a pacemaker in. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. I will keep you informed on what happens. God be with you until we can meet again. I hope you have a great night and a better tomorrow. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.